Hi, folks. I just want to give a bit of an update on what's going on within the life and work of Central Parish. As Islanders, we know that we entered phase four yesterday. I'm taping this on Saturday, obviously. We entered phase four yesterday, which means that the possibility is there to allow worship services to take place with 50 people in attendance. We met last Wednesday as a session and we had a long discussion over the pros and cons of this. We realized that for many, there is a sense, a desire to get back together for worship. We weighed that out with what we know we're going to have to do to allow worship to take place within our sanctuaries. We had a long discussion and it went back and forth, and there were a lot of options suggested and talked about. In the end, we have decided that we are not going to open our two churches, Clyde River and Canoe Cove, to in-person worship for the month of July. It wasn't easy, but we felt for now it is the safest and the most prudent course to take. At the end of July, the session is going to meet again, end of July, early August, to look at the possibility of opening our sanctuaries for worship, in-person worship in August. That's certainly our hope. And it would be something that we are looking to do. We are beginning the preparation on what needs to take place for both sanctuaries, for both places of worship, in hopes that come August we will be able to do in-person worship. Having said that, we're on a wait and see. Again, it's our hope, and we will be meeting the end of July to talk about it as a session. But until then, we want to invite you to continue to worship with us online, to fellowship with one another, even though we aren't together in our place of worship, to know that you are part of the larger body of Christ, worshiping together on Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon or maybe even Tuesday afternoon. We've had some questions about our online worship. The session has decided that we are going to continue online worship even once we do come back together to worship basically in the sanctuary. Online worship is going to be part of our ministry going forward. How we're going to do that is part of what we're going to be doing the month of July, to figure out how we can best film a worship service when people are here. It's a little easier when it's just myself and Montgomery and Cedric, but we want to do it to the best of our ability, with the understanding that we have a number of people who are watching us who don't live on Prince Edward Island or who may not feel comfortable coming back to worship even if we do begin in August, or even if we begin in September. So we want to allow that option to be there for them. I realize this may not be great to hear for a number of people. A lot of folks are missing out on the fellowship. And I talk about that this week in our service of worship. We're going to be sharing communion together tomorrow. And part of my message is around the idea of fellowship at the table. And that's so important for us to do. I mentioned to session on Wednesday that for me this summer I am going to be focusing primarily on visitation. To those folks who may feel alone, may feel isolated, but try to spread it out as much as I can across the congregations. I think it's important for us to connect, important for me to reach out to as many of you as I can, to have time of prayer and simply to reconnect again. So that's what I'm going to be doing in July and part of August. I am hoping to take vacation in August, but I have informed Session that I plan to do the worship services in August. Even though typically I'm on vacation then, I feel it's important, part of my leadership, to make sure I'm there if it's to guide back into transition or if it's to continue online worship, to have that continuity. So I will be continuing to do that in August, although I will be taking my vacation during the weekdays as is. A thank you to the session and to the boards of both congregations for their leadership during these unprecedented times. A lot of times that goes unnoticed, but the work of the church continues. It doesn't stop. We continue to minister in good and in bad times. We continue to walk with one another, to encourage one another. And so it's important that the leadership continues to move us forward. So a big thank you to the elders and to the board. Having said that, it's also important, and this is the awkward part that I'm never a huge fan of, but the work of the church does keep going and the bills keep coming in. So if you are mindful of that, and I realize that there are a number who may be struggling at this time, and that's perfectly understandable. But perhaps you're watching online and you remember, oh yeah, I didn't pop in with my tithe or offering, or I didn't send the e-transfer. This is just my little nudge to remind you that, especially during summer months when we're busy, when the bridge is open and everybody will be heading to Costco next week, please remember to continue your givings to the congregation so that we can continue the ministry of Christ. I hope to see a lot of you this summer. That's certainly my goal, to reach out to as many of you as I possibly can, and to encourage you and to lift you up. And hopefully we'll see you in August. And if there's any news or anything else to let you know about, I'll be doing it on this format. And for those of you who aren't on YouTube or on Facebook, I'll be making sure I get around to chat with you. Take care and God bless.